how do you actually go about increasing your product's prices? What are the steps that a company needs to go through? And what are some pitfalls that you need to avoid?
What I usually do with clients is build out their monetization models. I usually include two parts to the monetization models that we build. The first one is about the customers. Who are the customers that you're selling or who are buying from you? And typically there's some segmentation. So you may have smaller customers, you may have bigger customers, but really the way you segment those customers is based on what are their pain points. So what are the pain points that you're solving for them? And then mapping those pain points to the features or the value that your product is solving for them. And then ultimately you tie it back to your pricing and packaging. The one thing you have to do as part of this exercise is figure out the customer who's receiving little value is paying less than the client that's receiving more. So this is where you have to figure out your pricing metric. So once you figure out that part of the monetization model is who are your customers, what are their pain points, how are you solving them, and how does that thing scale? That's when you can start talking about different pricing models. Are using usage-based pricing, and there's multiple types of usage-based pricing. There's drawdown, pay-as-you-go, etc. Or is it based on tiers, or is it seat-based, etc. So that's on the pricing and packaging part of the pricing model. And then there's the forecast. So you look at the numbers and you're like, okay, given my current metrics and the changes that I'm proposing, or even the baseline, here's where we're going to end up at the end of the year. So where I usually come in is, okay, given the exercise that we went through and understanding your customers, here's some of the tweaks that we can make. And here's what this means in terms of revenue. Now, you asked about raising prices. That's one of the tactics that we can use. But when raising prices, you have to be careful because raising prices will put pressure on your conversion rates as well as potentially your churn rate. So if you, let's say, double your price as an example, some customers may not be happy and therefore they may leave. So your churn rate increases. You might be pricing out some customers so they don't convert. So you have to balance the two. Now, when you do price increases, there's a few factors to keep in mind. The first one is, again, you have to figure out what is the right amount to increase. And to be honest, the best way to do it is just use a spreadsheet, model this. So for every percent that you increase your prices, what's the impact on churn and conversions? The second thing is communication. So you have to communicate this both internally and externally. So internally, you have to let your finance team know, you have to let your customer success team know, you have to give them scripts, etc. And externally, you have to notify your customers. Netflix has done this for many, many years. So if you look at the emails that they send out, they're actually really good emails. They tell you we're increasing prices but they also match those with the value that you've been receiving. So it's like, here's all the movies that we've added. Here's all the content you've been consuming. So as you're announcing price increases, reinforce the value that you're delivering, and then potentially throw in some nice messaging. It's like, hey, we're bootstrapped, or we use those money to put that back into R&D. So communication is key. And the other factor is, which is really important, is to grandfather or not. This is huge because if you're increasing prices for new customers only, it's easier, but the impact on your revenue is not as big. If you increase price across your entire customer base, the impact is much greater. But you have to keep in mind, if you have customers on annual plans, so if they renew every 12 months, then it will take you a year for that price increase to fully kick in. So there's a lot of logistical considerations. How do you track this? Make sure you send an email 1 month before a renewal that their price is going up. So there's a lot of instrumentation and reporting you have to put in place to make sure that whole process goes smoothly. But most important thing, again, out of everything that I said, I would say is communication.